In this video, I'm going to show you how to change your font throughout the site. Typically, professional companies, in fact, all of them, want to keep their fonts pretty consistent throughout the site, and they want to have good, nice, clean fonts throughout the site. In this video, I'm going to show you how to change your fonts so that you have that flexibility. And there's two ways to do this. Number one, if you just go to the builder, the easiest, best way in the text editor, we have a text editor. So if you just go to basic modules and you want to use the text editor, let's just say right here, roll that in there. And you could type in, this is a test, like that. And if you highlight this, you could change to any one of these fonts right there. You could also, if you know a little bit of coding, you could change this in here to a Google font if you want to. We're adding another extension shortly so that you could easily add these Google fonts to this text editor. We also have global Google fonts if you want to make this a Google font, but you wouldn't do it through the text editor, right? Like right here, this is about 20 fonts or 15 maybe. And we have Google fonts if you wanted to make all this type of text a font throughout the whole site. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So just remember, before I show you, this is a header font and then the other one is like a text font. So I'm going to show you how to change up three different types of fonts. One is the fonts up here. One is the header fonts like right here, and then this is the text font. So there's three different styles of font. There's the H1 or header font, the text font, and then the navigation font. So I'm going to show you how to do all that right now. So if you don't want to use the editor and change and be confined to those fonts, you could go to WordPress dashboard right here and go into appearance and go into customize. Once you're in this customize area, there is a lot of options here where we could start changing around the colors and fonts. In another video, I showed you how to do this. So the first thing is how to change this font. Typically, you want this readable, legible on all big professional sites, whether it's Apple, Lululemon, any of the big companies. That you typically have it on a very easy, legible site. Helvetica is probably one of the most easiest to read, same as Arial. But you would go to header, and you would go to navigation style, and then you could change the navigational fonts in here. As you can see, we gave you about 600 or 700 Google fonts right there. Then you could also change how big it is as well, and you can move it around, change the colors, and so on and so forth. So that's the first area that you want to look to change the fonts on the navigation. The second area is typography. There's a typography area, and let's go to default typography. This is global. This is so it keeps it consistent, so you could go from one page to another and not have to change it again, and also so it looks professional. We want all our sites to be consistent and professional and not be a mishmash of one font and another font, and this is how to do that globally. So for all the paragraphs, you could make your make all these Helvetica or any other font you want. You could also style them with a different weight and width, and so on and so forth. And you could change the font color, the background color, and there's a lot of like letter spacing as well. If you want to put more space in between the letters, you could do that as well. Also, there's positioning, padding. Play around with this. You can't go wrong. You could always revert back and reset this right here, but it's good to play around with and see what happens. Again, all this right here, the H1, H2 headers and stuff, are in each and every module, so you're just picking which one you want. So if you do pick the paragraph one, then this Helvetica will show up, or whichever font that you choose will show up on that paragraph. So if you change the header 1, let's just say, to, let's say, yesteryear, then throughout the whole site, that header 1 will show up on here as well after you press save. So that's pretty much how to do that and add these fonts throughout the site. There's one more area you want to look into in terms of fonts, and that's in general, and that's in headings. And these are all the headings and stuff. And this is how big the H1 is. H1 is basically header 1. It's if you choose header 1 for this in the editor when you're in that module, it'll say H1, and that means it's 36 pixels large or small, however you want to put it. And then you could change that within here from sans serif to whatever you want. And again, we give you about 700 fonts, and then you could also change the color of all the fonts. Notice when I change that color, all this changed, and that's the header change. If I start playing around with this, then you're going to see that all of the fonts change just like that to all the headers as well. So play around with that as well. That's really important that you know how to do that. And again, you could always not save it and go back and revert back. So I hope this video helps. Let me know if you have any other questions.